property was purchased in 1928 by Rose and Joseph Kennedy, and they've added to it over the years, obviously. But that's the when you see all those newsreels of the family playing touch football and tents set up for family gatherings, including weddings. That's the location where all of that took place. Rose Kennedy lived there until she passed away in 1995 at the age of 104. After she died, the home became the property of her son Ted, and Senator Ted Kennedy lived there as his primary residence until he passed away in August of 2009. After he passed away, keeping with Rose's wishes that the home eventually be used for educational purposes, it was donated to the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the U.S. Senate. This is a nonprofit organization located in Boston, and their mission is to teach people about the workings of the U.S. government. The Institute now uses the home for seminars and retreats. Now, focus on that main home. Look to the right of that, you see a green space, and then a home that sits back from the beach. The distinguishing feature here is a white chimney on the left side. That was the home of the late President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. John Kennedy purchased that house in 1955 when he was a senator, but when he became president, he could not use it as the summer White House for security reasons. In just a few minutes, I'll tell you which homes he did use. When President Kennedy died, the home became the property of his daughter Caroline. It was eventually sold to Ted Kennedy, and when he passed away, it became the property of its current owner, Ted Kennedy Jr. Now, if you go back to the original home with the three peaks, look immediately to the left. It almost looks like a fourth peak. It's a separate home right next door. That would be the home of the late senator from New York, Robert F. Kennedy. Robert Kennedy's widow, Ethel, still lives in that home, and she and her family are often seen sailing in these waters in the summertime. So it's these three homes, the original home, the President's home to the right, Robert Kennedy's home to the left. These three homes make up what is commonly called the Kennedy compound. 3 homes on 6 acres of residential property in the neighborhood of Hyannisport. And there are no significant walls or fences that really separate them from their neighbors.
Actually, several of those boats out there are still owned by the Kennedys. There's some classic boats that they own. I took the cruise out here, they pointed some of them out to me, but I don't know what's what. Of course, the most famous Kennedy boat, probably, is the Ventura. And it ties the Chappaquiddick. It was raced by Ted Kennedy. They raced it on July 18th, 1969. And later that day, Ted plunged Mary Jo Kopechne to her death at Chappaquiddick. We're going to go over there tomorrow. And it ties to Watergate. Not so much Chappaquiddick, but Ted Kennedy ties to Watergate because Nelson Rockefeller orchestrated Watergate to destroy Ted Kennedy's presidential hopes. Remember, Nelson killed Jack, and he killed Bobby, so now he had to worry about Ted and his presidential aspirations. The Rockefellers will do anything to keep the truth out of the White House. But see, Kissinger never wants to let the truth in the White House because Kissinger arranged the Kennedy assassination for Nelson Rockefeller. That's why he met with Trump. He summoned Trump. When they realized Trump was ready to, that his campaign was serious, he got summoned to 435 West 50th Street. He cut a secret deal with Kissinger, who's a non-blood family member of the Rockefellers. And but he broke up the deal. Trump broke up the deal. But you know, if Nelson were alive, you don't break up a deal with the Rockefellers and live to talk about it. If Nelson were alive, Trump would be dead. Purely for that one thing alone. Just for reneging. Believe me, you make a deal with the Rockefellers, you do so under the penalty of death. That's one of the reasons they had to kill Kennedy, because Kennedy reneged. See, Kennedy took Rockefeller help, and then he turned on the Rockefellers because Nelson Rockefeller suddenly in 1962 and 1963 emerged as the leading Republican candidate for the White House. And Kennedy told his friends, he confided in his closest friends that his biggest challenge in '64 would be Governor Nelson Rockefeller. Because Rockefeller got reelected in '62,